Good afternoon. It's another episode of the Gary and Mark Show. I'm Gary.
And I am Mark.
And we're coming to you.
Somewhere different this time, Gary.
Yeah, somewhere different. We're back at Sanctuary Brewing.
We are, and we have been here before, but it's been a while. So where is Sanctuary, Gary?
It's right off First Avenue, right off Main Street in downtown Hendersonville.
All right, a great place to be.
And so, we're coming to you. We're not live.
That's right, but we are alive.
We are alive.
And we're glad to be that way.
Yes, we are.
We made it another episode.
We did.
And this is episode actually number, I think, 17, but we don't like to tell people that because sometimes we mix them up. But we know this one's 17. So we are glad to be here. And as always, we usually start with a few shout-outs. So first shout-out.
Hey, we got wow, what an amazing show. Keep it up, fellas. And that's from Nancy Thompson.
All right, Nancy.
Old friend.
She is an old friend.
Yep.
And I hope she's telling people to listen in too. So I have another one, and this one's from a guy named Wade Pridgeon, and he actually happens to be a friend of mine too.
Yeah.
Not all our shout-outs come from friends, but they usually give us good comments. And he said, thanks. He was actually thanking us because he got a diploma from the Gary and Mark Podcasting University.
I bet he's proud.
He is very proud. He said his wife was not that impressed, but that's because she's jealous, I can guarantee.
Yeah, she'll want one.
She will. So he said, you guys are on a roll and almost having more fun than is legal. Did you go for that, Gary?
I don't know. I'm too old to be illegal, I think.
That's right. So we have another one. And
Jim Marsalis.
Marsalis, I think.
No relation to Winton. Anyway.
Well, you know what? I hadn't thought about that because he's from
Jefferson, Louisiana.
He is. He could be related.
And he's the latest graduate from the Gary and Mark Podcasting University.
That's right. And so now we have 3 states represented.
And Norway.
And Norway.
In
fact, that was our very first graduate.
So proud.
Remember his name?
We're international. Odd Burger. That's his name.
That's right. First name. And so we also have asked our listeners to come up with ideas for other episodes and other things with our episodes. And we asked people to come up with a mascot for the Gary and Mark University.
Yes.
And so we had one.
We have one. And the mascot is from Catherine Overstreet. She says, rabbits.
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 Not a bad idea.
Rabbits.
All right, so we thank Catherine for that.
Thank you, Catherine.
And, we also, back in the Bladder Bowel Control Institute.
Yes, a quest.
Yes.
A quest.
One of our new divisions.
People, especially a quest.
And so we were trying to come up with a different name for
different related items you might use to assist you.
And so we had someone suggest something.
Yeah, other than adult diaper. So we have senior security.
I like that.
Big bad bum protector.
It's got alliteration in it. I like that.
I'm not sure about that. This one's good. Ever safe.
All right.
Drip and dry.
I like that one.
No worry if you're in a hurry.
These are all good.
And plop, drop, and keep on rolling.
I love those.
That's the cow philosophy.
And we're going to give a shout out to this guy because he's actually he's on staff now.
Yeah.
This is Don Seilerman.
Yes.
Who's the athletic director, which we'll bring up in a minute.
We will.
Of the Gary and Mark Podcasting University. Well, we have a guest coming in here today.
Yeah.
To get this thing started here.
Let's play the first Steppenwolf song. Get your motor running. Dead out on the highway. Looking for adventure.
All right. So, today we have, with us, live and in person. Although, no, we're not live yet. That's right. But here in our portable,
I'm alive.
Movable.
She's
alive. That's
very
right.
alive.
Linda Cluxton. And Linda is a well-respected motorcycle rider. I guess you call him rider. And I know Linda from way back because I actually taught her son in 5th grade. And that would have been actually decades
Your
ago.
favorite all-time teacher.
Oh
His
my
favorite
God.
all-time teacher.
She's just saying that.
No.
That's a shout out right there. That's on tape, although I guess it's a SD card. But so we are so glad to have her. And, you know, Linda, she has this, I don't know what you call them, a gang or a posse of friends. What do you call them?
A group of friends.
A group of friends. That's too tame.
Moto
Okay.
friends.
Moto friends. And they
not a posse.
just completed a ride. And she's going to tell us about that in a minute. You know, we actually, Gary and I live down in Watershed, North Carolina. Not too far from here. It's a nice drive up.
A way of life.
And if you ever heard of, there is a all-ladies bike gang down there called Wicked Women of Watershed.
No.
They usually go by the W3. You ever heard of them?
No.
That's probably a good thing because
Yeah.
when they come driving down Main Street, most people run.
I ride a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Wicked Women of Watershed. I picture Lee Marvin and Marlon Brando in drag.
Well,
From Wild Ones.
I met their leader once.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Widowmaker Winnie. She went by. I wasn't sure why.
They're
but,
too much for me.
It was too much for me, too. I'm one of those people that go running on the other side of the street when I can.
I was in a group called Women in the Wind, which was very nice.
Oh, that sounds like a nice
It
name.
was a nice name. It was an international group.
Was it? All right, so we're going to go back to your history in a minute. But before that, I just want to hear about the trip you just finished like 2 days ago.
It was a 5-day trip, and it was the inaugural Acme Moto 2 Blue Ridge, end of the Blue Ridge Parkway ride. Acme Moto 2 is a local serial entrepreneur that's created motorcycle panniers, the side bags that go on your motorcycles, which are phenomenal. And he loves to take a ride to the end of the Parkway. So a bunch of riders, male and female, with the Acme Moto 2 bags on their motorcycles. Started out early in the morning at the Folkway Center, Folk Art Center, and rode all the way up to the end of the Parkway, and then we visited friends in Stanton, Virginia. We split apart. 3 of us went up to support other riders in their ADV training, their off-road adventure bike training up in Mount Jackson, Virginia, another 2 hours past Stanton. And then we just wound our way back on small roads and dirt roads and visiting historic sites all the way back down to western North Carolina. It was about 1,000 miles.
Wow.
And so how many days was this?
5.
Wow, 200
Yeah.
miles a day on a
Yeah, and the weather was good. We did have frost on the seats at some mornings. It was a little chilly, but we were all prepared for it. It's actually much nicer than hot weather. So it was delightful. And if you're on the Parkway or in the woods, you don't feel the bitter winds. We did have complete hoarfrost on Craggy Mountain, which was gorgeous. Everything was iced over. And that was cold and that was windy, but that was all part of the experience.
So you weren't camping out, were you, though?
I was not camping out. Several of the younger men were camping out. We were credit card camping.
That's the good way to go.
It's still rugged.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
Because that card could break.
Yeah, it was.
Good.
Or it could be
Yeah.
declined.
Where 3 of us would bunk in one little tiny room, so that was.
And so now, she mentioned the younger men who could be 20 or 30.
Right.
And so if you look at Linda, and in our case, we would be good to have a picture of her
Yeah.
online because she is very...
I look better on radio.
Well,
that's what Gary-
I'm going to say, no, you'd pass for like a 40-something.
Exactly.
you.
And
Thank
we
you.
would just say
I
she's
even
close to
heard
my
that
age.
from the lady behind the bar.
What do you mean?
No.
Yes.
She said, what's that young lady doing over here with the 2 old people?
No, I said, since you told me your age, I shared that with her, and she was like, no. I said, yeah. No. Well,
It's true.
and that goes because, part of that, you can tell you're kind of a positive person, and you're doing things you like to do. But in order to ride the way you like to ride, as you told us before we started, you really have to
Train.
work at it.
Train.
Yeah.
I found a wonderful trainer, Chuck Wong Chong at Fitness Fundamentals.
Now,
And
where is that?
It's in
place?
Fairview.
Okay, which
And
is North Carolina.
It is North Carolina. I sent him videos. This was actually when I was racing. I sent him videos of what I wanted to be able to do. Not only the tension of the racing track, but then also the possibilities. I wanted to be able to pick up my own motorcycle when I dropped
Yeah.
it. I needed the core strength that I didn't have. And based on the videos that I sent him, that's how he trains me.
So these were videos of
Me,
you?
yeah.
So that bike you rode in on
Mm-hmm.
today, we'll get a picture of that. You can't pick that one up by yourself.
I can. I prefer not to, but I can.
So what does that weigh? I'm just looking at that thing. It's like a small Volkswagen.
Yeah, 500 pounds.
That's
yeah.
a small.
Yeah, but there are techniques. They're like anything. You train for those possibilities.
Well, our athletic director, Don.
I drop it a lot.
Do you really?
Oh, sure. If I'm in the woods taking a fast corner
So you
on the
do
dirt.
still go off-road?
Oh, yes.
Did
yes.
you on this trip you just had?
I did. We actually had some single track, which means there is no track. I mean, there's just through the woods, over the pine cones and the
Yeah.
leaves, and it's no car could go there. So
Even better, I guess. That's the.
we
Yeah.
in just tight little spaces. Sure.
So have you scouted these out before you get on them, or you just?
No. This was inadvertent. A friend who owns Marrow Farm up in Greenville, Virginia, said, "Would you like to see our property?
Okay.
Let me take you on a tour." I did not.
What was he driving? A car?
No, he was on a bike too
Okay.
up. He had a passenger on the back, and
Mm-hmm.
it was all of a sudden we were in the middle of the woods, snaking around trees in very tight, spots, standing up on the pegs, moving the bike underneath us to get around.
Okay, so now
It was fun.
Linda has been married for many, many years.
45 years.
Does your husband
This-
know all these things you're doing?
He does not know everything I've ever done.
Don't play this
motorcycling,
episode for him, I wouldn't.
I've been married almost 43, and my father told me the first 40 are the hardest,
I think you may be right.
and then it all kind of levels out.
Well, I've been
He-
38 years. We'll see. I got to.
He is very supportive. Every birthday, he'll give me a gift certificate to Eurosport so that I can buy the motorcycle Farkle of my choice. So, I mean, he's very understanding. He does not ride, has not ridden since he was very young. But
Did he
will,
ride since you've known him during your whole?
when we were first dating.
Okay, so
When we were first dating.
is that how
he
you
rode.
met? You bumped into each other somewhere?
No. He walked into the store where I was working. He saw me in the window and walked into the store.
You were a mannequin.
He had a girlfriend with him, and
Ooh.
he put her on a bus and came back and asked me out.
Is that true?
It is
Wow.
absolutely true.
Now that could be
Gary-
a whole
Gary's known to
nother
make up
episode.
That was
That's-
1969.
Oh my God.
I was.
That's only 50 years ago.
It's 50 years ago.
Wow,
I
yeah.
know.
But it's the woman who chooses, as my wife has said to me,
I don't know.
somehow.
I don't know.
I've got so many questions.
Yeah, don't hit
Uh-oh.
this table.
Huh? Oh, don't hit the No, but one, of course, I want to get touch on the different types of riding.
Mm-hmm.
But before, my first thing is, when did you first get excited or motorcycles? When did that start?
When
Yeah,
I-
I was.
My first solo ride was when I was 11.
Okay.
What kind of bike was it?
It was a little tiny 125 Suzuki, and my brother's friend, he came over and he was very proud and he had it, and I was very excited when I saw it, and he said, "Here, take it for a ride."
And you had to shift gears with the.
Well, I didn't know you had to shift gears.
Okay, because yeah, don't.
But my dad had a good property, and so I just rode around the front yard.
No helmet, I'm sure.
Oh, gosh.
They weren't invented then.
No, I wasn't going very quickly. I literally was on the front yard, going around and around. But that was it.
Wow.
And then I have 4 older brothers, and several of them rode.
Huh.
And they never let me ride their bikes. But after that, I just chose my boyfriends by their motorcycles until I was able to get my own.
So when did you get your own?
I think I was 19.
And what was that bike?
19. That was a 250 Husqvarna, which is a dedicated off-road bike. And I only rode off-road through the woods, single track, power lines for a number of years. I had the 250, and then I went to a 175 Husqvarna, which they call it Husky, which was my all-time favorite bike.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a lawnmower called Husqvarna.
It's the same company.
Yeah, mine doesn't go very fast though.
This
It makes a
one-
lot of noise though.
This is the motorcycle that the U.S. team wrote on the event called the International 6 Days Enduro. and I was a photographer at the time, and I got to photograph the team all over the world for about 12 years.
Wow.
So that was pretty exciting.
That
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
And you still take pictures, and you still
I
write for
still do.
magazines.
I still do. I still take pictures. I still ride motorcycles, and
You
I
still write
still
for
write.
magazines. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, like,
Lifelong passions.
yeah, and it's great you have a supportive husband. And obviously, my
He
wife is
is. He
supportive
rides
of-
in the sidecar.
No, you said that, but were you kidding?
No.
So it's big enough to put him in.
Oh, absolutely.
I keep thinking of Andy Griffith and Barney when he bought that motorcycle
There-
in Sacramento. Do you remember that episode? Any chance?
I'd forgotten it. I'll have to go back and find it.
Oh, yeah.
I have a friend from Hendersonville. The late David Malpass, when he and Mary Jo.
I met him.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Mary Jo Paget, who he
Yep,
was married to
yep.
at the time, they traveled all over the West. Mary Jo riding in the sidecar, of course, and she said she felt like Stuart Little, you know,
Yeah.
anyway. But
It's the reverse here.
yeah, yeah.
And it's very funny. We did the Distinguished Gentleman's event 2 years ago, and we would go into the various pubs, I guess, where they stopped along the way, the various supporters. And when we would leave there and go out, people would be so surprised because I would get on the motorcycle and he would get in the sidecar, and they were stunned. They were
Well,
they were a little bit surprised.
Now, where was this ride, the Distinguished Gentleman?
Oh, that one went from Black Mountain to Asheville.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a fundraiser.
All right.
We participate in fundraisers.
You ever do those toy runs? You ever heard of those?
They tend to be so large.
Oh,
I do the
yes.
pediatric brain tumor ride,
Goodness.
ride for kids, and they actually now have a dual sport ride that goes along with their road ride. I don't like riding in crowds, but if you're riding a dual sport ride, which is on road and off road,
Okay.
then you're obviously spread out a little bit more. You have smaller bikes. There's more control.
I wonder what that dual sport meant, because you had that somewhere in the bio you sent. and I
Oh,
was
dual
trying to-
sport on and off road.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it wasn't two sports. That's what
It's not. No.
I guess it is two
Well,
sports.
it is two
yeah.
sports: road riding versus dirt riding. Two different things, different techniques.
So you're thinking of doing taking people to Iceland for a bike tour?
Well, I have been twice
That's what I thought.
to Iceland.
One was just a year or so though. Right?
Once was just this last June.
Okay, so
Yeah, once was 2 years ago in 2017, and we had such a great time. We did the Ring Road and peninsulas off of that we said we want to go back, but we want to do it differently. So this time we went back in June and did the West Fjords, which is not well traveled, and it's mostly dirt roads. It's very wild, very windy, very few cars, mountainous, glaciers, snow even.
and
it was
you had a
rugged.
rented bike. You certainly didn't.
Did
ship
there were
your, okay.
3 ladies, the oldest of whom is 72.
Was one of the two you just went with, or two?
One of the two. I went with a lovely young woman in her 50s named Beth Lavender.
my
She
God.
was,
like a
Kid.
baby.
She was the kid.
she was the kid. She's the kid. She's the awesome kid. And then Doris Ward, who lives here in Fairview, Fletchview, she calls it. It's right on the edge. And she is the strongest woman I know and an excellent motorcycle rider. You know, if you drop your bike, which happens, she'll be the first one to be there and pick it up by herself. I mean, she's
What is the technique? I know we can't see it, but what do you?
Well,
there-
I mean,
there
it's
are-
leverage, and you
yeah, it is
it's
exactly.
all-
It is. There are a number of different techniques. We won't go into that.
No,
No.
But that brings you back to, in order to do that, as you were saying earlier, you have to kind
Train.
of train and work out.
I believe in training.
So
Yeah.
you train now. You're
I-
training all the time.
I train physically to be strong for motorcycling because I love it, and I train in motorcycle techniques constantly. I'm going on an event next month, in the middle of the month, to a group called Motomark down in Burlington. It'll be a 2-day training event. I've trained at the BMW
So
school in
you
South
helping,
Carolina.
Are you teaching? Down in
No,
Burlington?
I'm taking training. You never want to stop training because it's so important to stay safe that
Oh,
way.
she is motivational, isn't she?
Oh my!
It is.
goodness.
This-
I'm
this-
getting.
we-
I'm getting.
we
I'm
need to get her on the
charging through this.
university's
I
staff.
think our
I think I could be on the athletic staff.
I think-
we hey,
I think
I
do.
think
and I know you pay well.
we do.
yes.
Second
just
beer's
that-
free.
it depends on where we are. Yeah.
Gosh, I'm okay. This is just. I mean, I'm already amazed at the depth of and breadth of, I mean, the whole motorcycle world, which I know very little about. But go with the different. You mentioned you got dual sport, which is on-road, off-road. What are your different categories?
Well, I brought pictures because this is radio.
Here, we'll hold that up. Yeah.
And while she's looking for pictures,
And actually, a lady I just worked with at Diamond Brand before it closed, Laura, I'll think of her Italian last name. She likes to ride mainly off-road. She
Right.
does-
And there's such good riding around here.
Uh-huh.
It's spectacular. You can easily I can jump on my motorcycle here in Hendersonville, North Carolina, and just ride for 200 miles. There's a terrific fundraiser called the Tail Chaser 250. It's to raise money for the Boys and Girls Club of Transylvania County,
Okay.
Brevard.
All right.
And it's 250-mile dual sport ride.
It's all those Forest Service roads?
It is Forest Service
man.
roads.
Wow.
They're wonderful.
Uh-huh.
They're wonderful.
So back before you show us the pictures, when are you going to Iceland again? Do you know when that next
That
trip?
I don't
You
know. We've been twice, and Beth has been 3 times, and she even led a tour this last summer after the 3 of us did our tour. She led a regular paying tour for 6 motorcycles.
Is Iceland near Norway?
No, it's more.
It's in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
I
like
thought she could go
you-
meet Oddberger and give him a.
Oh, that's a great idea. There
Right,
is a
too far.
ferry. There's a ferry
I
which
forget
goes from
that.
the Faroe Islands and then I think over to Denmark or something like that.
So
Wow.
describe these pictures you're. And,
Well, you asked me about categories.
Yeah.
Early on, I did photography, and I met some of the greats in photography. I did modeling for gear, and
and so we need to scan these, or you need to
No,
send me a scan.
I don't
Why
know.
not? These people. You describe this. What is she wearing, Gary? Okay, be good.
Well, it's a very attractive pair of red leather pants.
Okay,
that-
you know what? Let's stop right now.
Yeah.
these are
I've-
Yofa boots. Anybody that's old school will know how phenomenal these boots are.
So what?
I think I've seen.
We don't
Mick
want to
Jagger.
date you, but
Mick
back how
Jagger.
long
This is
ago
for
was this?
Team Husqvarna. When I was, we were doing marketing and advertising for Team Husqvarna way back when. So this was for a catalog that they did.
So how did you first get involved with the commercial aspect of cycling?
I went to work in a photo studio in Andover, Massachusetts, and one of the partners in the studio did photography on the side. He did motorcycle racing photography, all types of motorcycle photography. And so that's how I learned to do the off-road
Oh
riding.
my gosh! So
Wow.
this is like she's in about 2 feet of
Mud.
mud. It's up over the axle, or
Yeah.
were you-
That's single track.
Oh my gosh!
So that you're in the middle of the woods or in the middle of a power line, and you're doing off-road riding.
So is this still like the off-road riding you're doing today? I mean,
I'm not doing as much single track because I'm riding a bigger bike. Well, actually, I have 2 off-road bikes. I like the Forest Service roads now. I'm old now.
You know, friends of mine who mountain bike, and I don't do it anymore. I used to, or used to do just road biking. A lot of them have gone to, they call it gravel grinding, just because
Yeah.
it's not crowded. And you don't have to deal with cars,
Right.
And so, I get that. Yeah.
So those are my 2 Huskies riding off-road and single track. And I got my very first road bike in 1976.
Oh, look at that! I'm holding this up to the microphone. You can't-
all right, yeah, I can see it. It looks
Well-
good.
And Bates Leathers made my leathers. I've always loved that. British Racing Green and
Are
Black.
some of these companies still around?
Yes.
I mean, Husqvarna still is.
Husqvarna's still around.
So, but the bike that you
Wow.
have now, you said that. What are you riding outside right now?
I still have this bike.
Oh, my
This
gosh.
is a 1974 750 BMW.
That's a
And you still
pretty-
ride that bike?
I do. That's the one I put the sidecar on.
Okay.
So I have 7 grandchildren, so I can fit 2 in there at a time.
And so, how long have you had that bike?
Since 1976.
Wow.
Oh,
That's family.
it
That bike is family.
Have anyone ever tried to offer to buy it from you? Would you sell it?
I would never. No, I'm
wouldn't, did you?
going to let my daughter inherit it.
That's
So does she ride?
She does. We when she graduated from Columbus State in Ohio, a local shop and I built her a vintage CB350 Honda and completely restored it and gave her that as a graduation present. She still rides it.
So why is it that she can ride, but your son can't ride?
It's the consequence gene.
Okay.
It's the consequence gene.
Of course, he's the one with 5 kids.
He's the one with 5 kids.
Well,
There's
there's some consequences
yes.
there.
She
aren't
has
there?
2, and her 5-year-old daughter has her own motorcycle. So
Well,
you
there
mean
you
a
go.
gasoline-powered motorcycle
the little
with
one,
2
yeah.
wheels
Yeah.
or with training wheels?
Yeah. No, real. It's real. She doesn't ride it. She's learning to ride it.
That-
She rides it with her dad.
And where does she live? Nearby where you can help her?
She does. She lives in Alexander, North
Okay.
Carolina, just north of Asheville.
Right by the French Broad River.
That's right. It's
Yeah.
beautiful there.
And so what's the bike out front?
The
What
bike
is
out
it?
front is a BMW.
It's another BMW.
It's not very new. It's a 2010 F650 twin.
Which one did you take on the trip you just?
This one,
This one.
the GS.
And are they made in Germany or are they made somewhere else?
I'm sure parts are made in different places. I bought this one. There was a man at Christ School when I worked there who rented motorcycles, and he brought it up on a trailer back then in 2010, 11. And when I saw that on the trailer, I jumped on top of that trailer and I said, "When you get ready to sell this, I want it."
Wow.
And I did buy it.
So
I
that-
just love it. I mean, I don't need a new bike. I just want to ride.
So I'm going to...
If you could see, I'm sitting across from Linda, and the glow that just comes from her eyes talking about this
I know.
motor.
It's
This
crazy.
And she doesn't
Well-
look anything like Widowmaker Willie. I'm telling
No.
you.
No,
I would not
I don't have
run-
enough patches. I don't have.
Well, do you have any
No.
tattoos?
I don't. I don't even have pierced ears.
You know,
My goodness.
yeah,
I know.
this is a person after my own heart. There, there's no tats,
We-
no
we
No
got-
tats.
ears.
Nope. Nothing.
We're a little bit. We're not
I'm not
upset.
against. I'm not against
Well, that's
them.
what
Nor
Gary
am
said.
I.
Not.
No.
There's nothing that's that important for me to tattoo onto my body.
Well,
Well, Gary thought
Because
you were
that
gonna-
eagle might turn into a flamingo.
or a whale for me. Yeah. You thought, Gary, you had this great idea for a tattoo. Remember?
what, a barcode? No.
Well, close. You were going to tattoo your phone number and your address on your.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
on my wrist.
Yeah.
So,
Because at this
their
age-
directions home. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
That'll be good once you get to the home
Yeah.
and don't have either.
Yeah.
So if you could look back in your biking career, first of
Yes.
all, let me just say, Linda and her husband Eric worked at Christ School in Arden, which is an all-boys Episcopal school.
Right, high school.
And I am betting that when you drove up, of course you lived there, but I mean, when they saw you on a motorcycle, they were like, "Oh my gosh, they cannot believe that's you." You would think think that was just something incredible.
I don't know. I always had motorcycles while I was there. I think the most fun was when we had the big Asheville School rivalry celebration, and I just took out my sidecar and put the giant teddy bear dressed in all green for the greenies in the sidecar and rode it over to Asheville School. That was kind of fun.
And you were back at that school, and they were like the prep school for up and coming basketball stars.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll bet those
Absolutely.
guys were impressed with the motorcycles.
Well,
The 3 brothers whose names escape me at the moment.
Plumleys are last.
The
names.
Plumleys,
the
right?
Plumleys, you could talk to any one of the Plumleys for 20 minutes or more forever and never know they even played basketball.
Good for them.
These were the most lovely young men you could ever imagine.
And are any of them playing ball now? in
All
college?
3 of them, I believe, play ball. NBA.
NBA already?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, time.
Which
time
that
flies.
season's already started, but I don't really
And
follow
in
that.
fact, I think not Marshall, not Miles, the third one, Mason, was playing for the U.S. team in China, I think.
Huh.
But they are just stellar human beings. And they come back and they give their perspective to the students now. They come back and speak to the students.
So you've been retired from there
5 years.
that many already?
Yeah, I know. I'm
Do you
old.
ever go back for any events?
Rarely. We're busy.
You are.
I mean,
That's great.
I think retired means just tired all over again, over and over and over. So we just keep going.
Well, we're all retired.
We're all retired.
It's a great feeling. So there's people out there who are younger than us. It is a great thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
So of all your rides,
Yes.
does any one stick out as the most memorable?
I've taken some wonderful rides. I've done part of the Trans-America Trail, which they call the TAT, which is pretty much off-road all across the country. I did it from here to Mississippi and back. That was a nice road. That was on a different bike. I've got a picture of me with a chicken here. Yeah. We saw sights.
Oh,
there you
okay.
go. That is, there
Is that
she
classic?
is.
That's the big chicken now.
That's
we'll
a
just say,
big chicken.
That's about a 40-foot chicken.
That's
Oh.
a,
Yeah.
with a beret
That's in
or a chef's hat.
somewhere Tennessee.
Yeah.
But there were some back roads. There's
So
some-
when you travel these days, since you're a photographer,
Mm-hmm.
you carry a regular camera or you just use your phone these days?
I use my phone, but I also carry a really nice small Sony. But it's great. I like to have both, and that one is small enough and safe enough. I can stick it down my jacket if I want to, and just pull it out while I'm riding. I also have a very nice GoPro camera that I can attach either to my helmet or
Right.
to a crash bar, the handlebar, and I took that to Iceland. We've had some good laughs watching those videos.
I bet so.
Now,
Those are cool.
you to the gear. Do you have like heated gloves and heated seats and heated shoes?
No heated seats.
Okay.
But this last 1,000-mile ride, I did bring a heated jacket and heated gloves,
Yeah.
and they were very much appreciated. And we also, my bike has heated grips, which is nice. So, but it was 29 one morning when we set out up on the Parkway, so that was cold.
Does it have a wind?
I do have a small
Brake or
windscreen on that
windscreen.
one. Mm-hmm.
And you have a headset that you can talk to anybody? or
Yes.
no? You do?
Yes. Sena, SENA, and you just click it on and dial in your friends. Only 3 out of the 6 of us were connected. The other guys with Senas were just listening to music, which I do not do when I ride.
Right. I get that.
Yeah. But it's wonderful for directions. It's wonderful for, watch that car pulling out, watch that truck, it's throwing gravel. So, we don't jawbone, as it were, a lot because that takes away from the ride. But it's always there for finding the next restaurant or gas station or
Bathroom.
any of the above. Yeah.
Right. Well, Gary, I put them in order. I'd put bathroom first, I think, for me, if I was on a...
That's pretty important.
It is.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
In fact, I can tell you that there are 2 right over here about 15 feet away, and they're huge. You should check them out before you leave here.
I will,
Now-
I'm sure.
Now, that's a recommendation for Sanctuary Brewing.
There we go. And they're nice.
Yeah, right.
They're
So we're going to wrap this up in just a minute. But
Okay.
let me, if,
I just have to tell you this,
yeah,
this
please.
story, showing the picture.
And any of these you want to scan or send me, I can put on the website.
Okay, I might do that.
So folks can see them.
A friend who owned Acme Motorcycles, which does not exist. The economic downturn got rid of a lot of small.
that was a manufacturer?
That was a small local shop around the
Okay.
corner, bike shop here in Fairview.
Huh.
And when the economic downturn came, so many motorcycle shops just could not survive. But he is the genius that has made the Acme Moto 2 panniers.
Oh.
And we did this last ride. He also afforded me the opportunity to race, with ARMA, the Historic Racing Association.
Now, when you're racing,
Yeah, I
are you
wanted to
racing
ask
with,
about that.
with other bikes at the same time?
Oh
or you,
gosh, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so-
hundreds of them sometimes down at Barber Motorsport in Alabama. He found a 250 barn find of a CB 160, and we turned it into
Oh my gosh.
a piece of jewelry.
You have to scan this.
This
Yeah.
is the
Send
most
it.
beautiful little bike. I called it Cricket.
So where's that bike now?
And that bike is being raced by the Hall brothers, who have Hall's Custom Vintage. They work on vintage motorcycles, and they have kept it, made it better. They're racing it, and they're still winning with it.
Wow.
But it was so much fun. He gave me the opportunity. We created an all-women's racing team for vintage.
I remember.
And Dottie Mattern, you probably know Dottie.
I recognize her.
Tennis star, Hendersonville Tennis Club.
Well, see, his daughter is a tennis coach.
Oh, there you go. Dottie and I went to race school in Nashville, Tennessee. She was 65 and I was 56. I was scared to death, and she looked me in the eye and she said, "Linda, we can pay attention."
That's what the...
And she was right. The young boys on their ninjas were crashing right and left and losing their money for race school. And we finished it on a 1970 Honda and
So men and women are racing at the same time?
a 1972 Honda clapped out old CBs. fact, one of them died in the middle of race school, so we did running starts, sharing one bike for race school. And I think we got extra points for that. And
These are some incredible stories.
oh, it's fun. So I raced for almost 6 seasons after that. It was good.
Not planning to race anymore?
No, I'm doing other things. I'm going to Iceland, hopefully Italy this next spring. I would like to do the Southwest on my motorcycle. So
Fantastic. So there were some ladies or girls out listening, and they were interested in taking up
motorcycling.
What advice would you give them?
Excellent question. Take the MSF course.
Which is?
Through one of the local community colleges, Motorcycle Safety Foundation. AB Tech has a phenomenal program, female coaches, male coaches. They're very thorough and very well trained, and they work well with men or women. I would take that course on a small bike. Don't buy the bike your boyfriend wants you to get. Buy a bike that fits you, where you can get your feet on the ground and graduate to a larger bike. Start small and train. We actually have birthday parties where we will go out and take training together and bring cake, and it's just fun. It's fun to get together with your female friends or with both, and go to a training event.
I bet.
In fact, we drove all the way to Virginia to support friends that are taking a training event.
It's fantastic.
That was good.
You ever thought about being an instructor with?
That's too much work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm retired.
You're done the work.
Yeah.
I'm playing.
Well, we we have enjoyed having you.
Thank you.
On
Thank
our
you for
show.
doing that.
And we're not quite finished yet because I'm going to let Gary do this. You are, as you know, already now officially on the staff of the Gary and Mark Podcasting University.
And you can just see the lift she's getting from that.
So, Gary,
am.
would you handle this presentation?
Yes,
Tell
I'm
her what this
holding
is.
this up to.
I'm having goosebumps.
I'm
You should
holding
be.
this up to the
Goosebumps.
microphone really close. Honorary BS in podcasting, honorary BS with extra honors
That's my second BS.
to
All right.
Linda Cluxton, having successfully completed the rigorous course of study as prescribed by the Gary and Mark Podcasting University, and having sent in the appropriate tuition and hopefully small unmarked bills. Okay.
So we are giving you an honorary.
It's
Honorary.
honorary.
That means I don't have
Yes.
to pay.
It's in plastic. I mean,
is.
it's not
And
even
Laminated.
Not
it's-
only that,
Yes.
but you're getting, turn over, Gary.
Oh gosh.
You are getting a lifetime membership.
in the Rabbit Island Resort.
Yes,
Now
indeed.
there's a sticker for my
Boy,
pannier.
There you go.
there it is. That would look so nice on the panniers.
I think so.
It
Yeah.
would look
On
very
the
nice.
Acme Moto 2 pannier.
Yeah, and we could even finagle another Rabbit
sticker.
Island needed one because you got panniers on
great.
saddlebags on both sides.
Gary
All right, so
and
we
Mark.
want to thank Linda for being here today.
Yes.
That was
I'd like
great.
to thank you.
And this is setting a record today, Linda, you should know, because this is our longest podcast.
I'm sorry.
ever. No, it's great.
No.
But this is great. It's fantastic. For 15 seconds was me trying to figure out that button a while back. But we want to thank you, Linda Cluxton,
Thank you.
for being here and being on our show.
I love you guys.
Thanks so much. We hope
Yes.
you'll, well, she's on our staff now.
She's on her
Awesome.
staff,
That's
so
right.
she'll
This is
get
great.
memos and all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
All right,
there-
so-
more training.
Maybe we'll see you in another episode.
I hope so.
So thanks for listening to another episode of the Gary and Mark Show. Don't forget to check us out at www.garyandmark.com and all of those other places you can download an episode from, including iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, Facebook, Instagram, even YouTube, and now iHeartRadio. So thanks a lot. We'll see you in the next episode.